Good morning. Okay, that's nice. There's energy there. I love it. I love it. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I know it is second last day of the festival. It is. It's getting tougher and tougher to wake up in the morning, but we're doing it. I'm so happy that you guys all came to share this time with us. We've got a really interesting and phenomenal lineup, in my humble opinion, for today. So those of you that are here are in for a very special treat. Before we start, I just want to acknowledge those that are in the room, the spirits, the willing spirits, the peaceful spirits, and those that came with their own nonsense but will be sorted out on their own. Right? You know what I mean? So for today's program, we're going to have a reflection on the work that the CCA has been doing, and I'm really excited to be introducing these poets to you this morning. Today we will feature and show the work of the UJ students who have been working on their poetry throughout the year, and I think for the last 10 years since we started bringing them to the festival, been aching to get onto the stage and to also share their work. So I'm really thankful to the CCA and also the team that has arranged and tipped off on this one so that the students who have been frequenting this festival for the last 10 years also get a chance to showcase the work that they are doing. So thank you very much, we appreciate it. And then we have the winners of the Riebeck Painting competition. So now, this competition in particular was initiated by the CCA, and these are the winners of the Poetry and Communities project. And these are projects that are basically use poetry in their communities to actually change and to make for a better world. And today, we have the three winners from that, three representatives of the winners that are from that area. We have Nicoline Smith, without the H. We have Donker. And we have Bradley Arenzer here with us. I'm really excited because they get to share their work with us today and also represent and give us a little insight into what it looks like in the Riebeck Valley and what it sounds like. So I want you guys to be gentle, to have open minds, open hearts. If the language goes through you, poems communicate in other ways as well, so find that meaning if you need to. And then let's welcome the Riebeck Valley poets to do their thing. First up, I want you guys with all the energy that you can muster. Please welcome to the stage, Bradley Arenzer.
Dankie. Baie dankie vir die geleentheid. Ek hoop ons sal kry Afrikaans instrumentaal. Dis wat dis wie is dit wat my maak. En ek is dankbaar en trots om te kan staan om die Riebeck Valley te represent. Dit is vir my 'n groot eer en ek sal ewig dankbaar, ek sal nooit genoeg dankie kan sê nie. Maar ek moet sê, I've learned immensely in the past career since we had Poetry Africa with us in the Valley last year. It just taught me so much, it inspired me massively, so thank you again for this opportunity. Ek gaan twee van my gedigte voorlees wat ek in die afgelope tyd geskryf het in Ouma by my, so baie dankie, so ek gaan net aangaan. So. Ontydig, so was ons liefde. Koud, warm en wankelrig. Maar my hart was toe vertrou aan jou. Jou waslap en handdoek hang nog in die badkamer muur. En in die kas hang klere wat beslis nie vir my gaan pas. Dit was pret, ek moet erken. Elke raak aan koffie en elke lag voor die kachelvuur sal ek vir ewig. Vir al die lange oomblikke wat ek jou skillerig in my arms kon hou. Ek en jy. Maar net ek het kerkklop oorleef. ontydig het ons liefde begin en ontydig het dit tot 'n einde gekom. Die gordyn het finaal gesak en die storie was verby. Hartseer en verlange het egter op die verhoog agtergebly, naamlik ek en jy. Ons storie was ver van die einde en tog het die liefde aan iemand anders verklaar. Ek staan nog met my hart op my mouw en my trots in 'n tas, verwaard en verloren. Was ons jong instinct miskien 'n fout? Van ons is nou die laaste deel van 'n sprokiesverhaal met 'n onvoltooide vers en 'n einde wat ons nooit sal kry. Die gordyn het gesak en die wêreld verduister in donkerte en as. Jou gesig en jou gedagte draai saam in 'n tas met 'n storie om te vertel wat kon gewees het en 'n einde wat ons nooit sal ken. Van ons liefde was nooit bestem. Dankie. Baie dankie julle wat hier dit opreg. En die volgende, ek sou aanvanklik iets anders gedoen het, maar ek gaan hier om woorde so please, dankie. Diep tussen duisende stories en verhale ver weggesteek, lê die spore van pyn, spyt en verwyte. As ek sou kon verdrink in jou oë, sal my smart en sorge versuip in jou diepe staan. Jou glimlag en jou sagte stem sal saam vertroosting bring. Ek het jou geken, maar tyd het so vinnig verbygegaan en op 'n stadium het ek die kontoure van jou gesig en lyf in my gesig verdoen. Die oomblik in tyd was te rou en sou ons wees op daardie stadium, sou ons eenvoudig net in mekaar vou en soos 'n kasteel of 'n ou vervalle gebou in mekaar val. Maar onthou, as jy verlore raak en die wind raak stil, maak toe jou oë en sien hoe kom ek jou rigting in. Sit 'n glimlag op jou gesig en voel jou hart klop vol van liefde en lewe. Soos die wind stil raak en jy nie meer besef kan hoor nie. Maak toe jou oë en maak op jou hart, want dis daar waar ek wag om jou hartseer en verlange te troos.
Oh, thank you so much, Brandy. For those that didn't understand, that guy is in love and he's a mess. Can you actually imagine? Oh, lovely. So you've got a nice controlled environment to be chaotic in, you know? Just find yourself. I love that. Love doesn't care about your feelings. Next up, I want you guys to please, with the same warm spirit, welcome to the stage. Don't get it wrong.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I come from a little village at the center of the universe called Big Castile. And it's a community that houses an extraordinary number of artists across various disciplines, and also a good few poets lately. I mean, Bradley is, you've just heard him, what a fine example of hidden talent that's come to the fore in our little community. Anyway, our town, like many in South Africa, was subjected to forced removals along political lines or racial lines in the 1960s. And this 60 years later, it's still a wound that's difficult to heal. And the recent Heritage Day celebrations, I delivered this poem. It's about displacement, but I took it to a bigger scene. My bed. Where is my bed? My bed of birth, between the rotten timbers of the slave ship from Sulawesi. My bed of earth, under the tracks of wandering wagons and hooves and feet and paws and stealthy man-eating claws. Where is my bed? The pieces of my bed of peace, burned by Her Royal Majesty's marauding Makwere in the name of their king and country. My bed of tears, under the bulldozed bricks of District 6, where remnants of remembrance mix with little bits of broken china. My bed of fears, amongst the tombstones of Magersfontein and Isandlwana and Maguzba and Marikana. My bed of trust, stolen through broken oaths of office by ruthless, truthless men who sleep in ostentatious opulence in the crevasses of their character, whilst their minions die in the dirty linen of their daily lives. Where is my bed? My bed of hope, my bed of dreams, of promise to the firstborns. Now, my bed of thorns. Where is my bed? Where must I lay down my head when I'm dead? Thank you.
Wow.
One gets emotional with these things. It's real. My second poem, for the benefit of our international friends, I'll do in Afrikaans, so that they too cannot understand. We have a delegation from Belgium, they probably get it. It's called Sanmansbraak. Little bit of background, the San, the first people, the Bushman nation. In this poem, I lay the ills of this world, our destruction of the planet. I make out to be the wrath or the revenge of the first people. Ryk, die wind, die fabrieke, die karre, die ope gemors. Sien jy die see, vol vullis, die leerrivier? Hoor jy die hygende asem van mens en sy gevange dier? Ryk, die vergryp, gulsige, gierigse, verfoeilike vrot. Ryk, die rye kadavers van nog en nog begeer, groter, beter en altyd nog meer. 'n Sanmansbraak, die stamp van geld, 'n Sanman se braak. Afrika se graf is vlak. Die beendere is rusteloos. Terwyl die aardwolf op die pad ontdwaal, is sy lyke se spook besig om hom in te haal. Die naglug se brul is stil. Die aarde lê lig, verkragt, en die strome dryf nog net vuil en sluk. Op die aandwind kom ou stemme wat huil en sluk. Die sangmans braak, die dood van hierdie land, die sangman se braak. Thank you very much for this platform, for the privilege of being here, for getting to meet you all. Thank you.
Please, one more time to come for the young people. We are a nation full of stories. Full of stories. Thank you so much for sharing that. For also bringing the anger and the wrath. You know, sometimes wrath is necessary. Those who don't know what wrath is, that's your homework for today. That's how you're going to learn the language. Next up, I want you guys to please welcome to the stage the colleagues. Please welcome.
Yeah, bring it on! Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to thank Africa Poetry for the opportunity and for inviting us here. It's really, I want to cry, so it's much appreciated. Thank you very much. And thank you to Mark. That connected with Africa Poetry. Although Mark is not here, in his absence, I would like to thank him. And thank you for my two poets that's also sitting here.
Love you.
Yeah, love you too. Thank you. So, my stuff is also in Afrikaans. Afrikaans is my home language. And I think that I can express myself much better in my own language. But I'm doing English too. Ek is, en jy is wie? Jy geleer my aan, asof die kat my ingedraai. Die hond het dan met jou in sy bedjie ingekom. Wat's daai wat die asem dadelik val? En wie is die bobbejaan wat op die kraan sit? Al blink meneer en mevrou opgedof. Ja, ek praat met jou. Jy het hier aangewaai gekom van heinde en ver. Maak nou of jy hoor, ek ken jou so. Hoor jy ander se hart klop, 'n leerdop, 'n groot vlok, altyd in die sok. Jou kom tuis maak op ons voorstoep, met 'n stinkharde boek. Maak nou of jy hoor, ek ken jou so. Skuif 'n bietjie op sy, gly of kry jou by. Geen respek vir ander, en sê jou tyd, ek kry die ou volk so jammer. En wat het iemand jy vasgehak? Jy laat my skreeu. Weet jy dat het hier ook soms sneeuw? Ek dink jy is slim en geleerd, en is hier ongedeerd. Geld wat stom is, moet regmaak wat krom is. Geen geld in die wêreld kan 'n mooi hart koop nie. Aangeplikte, glimlagte, En hoe het ontstemd is, eintlik lyk jy net so suur soos 'n ou uitgedrukte lemmetjie. Ek let nie jou agterin om van my te hou nie. Of om iets saam te kou nie, maar wees verseker, ek skop jou aan tot binne in die balie, so vlieg in jou beentjie. Ek is die breinkind, ek is die stofkind, ek is die bergkind, ek is die plaaskind en ek is die padkind, ek is die straatkind, ek is die hartskind, ek is die sielskind en ek is die liefdeskind van ons vallei. Gebore en getoe, gebrei en gebytel, staan gemaak as 'n wapen van hoop. Dankie. And then we all did something on Heritage Day. So I also would like to share my heritage poem with you. Oop geloof, op die pad van onthou, wie toon berou en wie kry die tou? Onder in die geloof was my mense met 'n vaste geloof van alles beroof. Alles gedoen vir die baas, nou is hulle net op kleerlingklas. Word toe verwerk, maar wees verseker hulle was sterk. Hulle gaan soek toe hulp by die kerk. Kry die hoor en saam met dit 'n koue skoot. Alles was plat gemaak met die aarde. Oral lê nou nog los drade. Reënboogkleure in stukke geskeur. Gaan ons ooit optree. Laat ons saam sit en tot die hemelse Vader bid. Wees ons almal genadig, alles wat so gewelddadig. Kom ons soek in ons hart, anders bly ons vir ewig apart. Niks meer bejammer, vandag is die tyd vir omarming. Wat was, is en sal wees, lê binne ons gees, want ons is lank mekaar gestroop van vlees. Die bloed binne jou is die bloed binne my. Besin vir 'n nuwe begin. Dankie.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Identity, we are all the same. We're all going through the same things. I really love that. One more time for the Rebecca Valley Poets. Please make some noise. Bradley, Spencer Younger, Colin Smith. So as I said before, they did an extensive workshop as well with Diana Ferris, Nebo Mashile, Pabiso Billy, and Tango Fuze. And I think for me that's really, really cool when the work is engaging, but then there's something else spilling out of it, and rebuilding and scaffolding. And I'm also hoping that the poets here and you guys meet each other, collaborate, call people from that side of the world to Rebecca Valley that can come, and vice versa. Because that is also one of the reasons why we are here, to share, break bread, and share resources. While I'm talking to you guys, I'm looking at my UJ kids, they're nervous. They're so nervous. We're going to have you guys on soon, but I really want to thank you one more time, also to the CCA for putting out that initiative, the Poetry and Communities Project that seeks to identify and then also elevate these projects that are working actively to change our lives. So very important work. Thank you very much to the CCA. Now, yay, yeah. Oguhle Esetu is a poet, she's an actress, and she's currently studying literature and film and television at the University of Johannesburg. And I'd like you guys to please welcome her to the Poetry Africa stage.
what it's like living in your answered prayers. This is a dream come true. Yesterday I was just thinking, Lucy, I'm sharing a space with people I used to watch and be like, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And thank you, UJ Arts and Culture. Thank you, CCA. And thank you, Quaz. So I went to a school where our first additional language was Afrikaans. But I'm trying to write in isiZulu. And my mom is helping me do that. And my first poem is titled Incwadi Yothando. Incwadi Yothando. Ngizoba yisiduphunga uma leli phepha lifika kuwena. Ngikubhalele incwadi, kodwa ngiyathandaza ukuthi ungayifundi. Ngikhiphe yonke imizwa yami ngayifaka kule ncwadi yothando. Ngaveza ubuthakathaka bami. Ngaveza imisebenzi yengqondo yami engasile. Imizwa yemfihlo ingcono encwadini kunasenhliziyweni. Ngakho-ke, thatha leli phepha ubuyise inhliziyo yami. Usuyiphupho elikude kimi. Usuyinganekwane yezothando. Thatha leli phepha ubuyise inhliziyo yami. Uthando luphelile. Thank you. So another thing that I realized when it comes to following your dreams is that you need to see people follow their dreams and see them do great. And one of those people for me was the great and late Ricky Ricky. And I wrote this poem after he died, the day I found out that he has passed on. The culture. In the hearts of Brown, the face of a traumatized youth fills the streets. Their eyes are pulled with tears, their hearts heavy with grief, mixed with gratitude, their ecstasy turned into ash. Everything he does and did, they wanna do, they multiply, their culture never does. Their lights, called Ricky, dies a mere heartbeat away from his home. The place he made his music in becomes his coffin. Culture is human, culture is not perfect. They lay him to rest and bury the parts of culture that killed him and killed them. The parts of culture that makes them hate themselves, life, others, and the culture itself. His music mimicked God's face and form, his thundering presence uplifted the youth, his heart held the entire world in awe. An extension of God's love, now reunited with God, Ubaba ufuna azomthuma, so the stars die young. They disappear into a warm darkness and leave the world brighter than they found it. Ubaba ufuna azomthuma. Siyabonga. The tales of the red slums, our corrugated dreams. When it all came down, we protestingly basked in the scorching sun, clinging to brass. Our bodies turned to hot coal. We lied to ourselves and convinced each other that they would never move us. Our sloppy streets became a museum of defeat, agony, and trauma. Our throats burned and bled from the shrieks we made as our corrugated dreams were punctured and our homes turned into cowsheds. We stood 2 feet away from poverty, begging to save our homes, but we were turned into a community of felonious hobos. A hail of the notorious red ants was unleashed and they plunged us deep into the slums of homelessness. The hammering sounds made by the demolition trucks as they crashed down the walls that once kept us warm and safe rang from our insides, as a reminder of the crime we had committed by making the land promise to us our home. dust and scattered scrape became our souvenirs. It all came down. First, our homes, then our spirits, hope and dreams, then our faith in our leaders. As Pat said, I do English literature, and I am also a writer of short stories. So this is a short story / poem / and it's titled The Father's Homecoming. The last ounce of frustration escaped his body as he pointed the gun to his mother, pulled the trigger with little hesitation, and shot her on the head. The gun was his father's, the only thing he had left of him. In a moment of short-lived disappointment, frustration, and anger directed to his father, he had burned all his clothes, threw out his music notes, and gave away his shoes. He kept the gun for a day like this one. It was not hate that made him kill his mother and her lover, but desperation. Venomous desperation and longing for his father's return. He sat down on the pool of blood that oozed from his mother's head next to her. How much he loved her. He did it for her. He did it for their lovely family of 3. He wanted to preserve her dignity and his father's. He had turned into what he hated the most in women, a drunk and a township butch that every man who lacked self-respect rode. No, that was not his father's wife. That was not his mother. She was not the woman who had raised him. She was not the woman he wanted his runaway and musician father to come back to. He knew his father would not come back if she continued living the way she had been. He felt no remorse, no guilt. The woman had changed. She was not what he knew and loved, and therefore he had not killed his mother, but a stranger in his mother's body. He felt proud and relieved. The stranger in his mother's body who drank every weekend from morning till dawn, roamed the streets and danced in taverns with boys his age, invited them into his father's streets and gave them money, was gone. So his father would soon come back, he hoped. He laid on his mother's ballooned and bare chest. She was naked, and so was the 20-year-old boy who laid next to her body. He had shot him first. He closed his eyes and saw in his mind's eye, his proud and lively, energetic father walking through the door, strumming the strings of his guitar and singing to him in a soft melodic tune. A curved smile grew from the side of his lips. His father would soon return. Inheriting my father's hands. So, the writing prompt of this poem was Kwazi's hands. In class, he just showed us his hands and he was like, write a poem about these hands. So, yeah. Inheriting my father's hands. My father was a man who never showed emotion unless it was anger. He loved my mother with clenched fists instead of open arms. His sooty and heavy hands carried and cared for life, but could also end a life. He heard the quiet riots in his palms when his violent tantrums hissed to be born. My father was a man, a stone-hearted lover, a scared and devastated little boy who camouflaged his fear into manliness. He wore his childhood bruises on his wrist like tattoos. His scars were remnants of his sorrow. My father was a man. My father was an angry man. Angry men bleed the most. They weigh down those they love with the weight of their manliness and empty worlds. My father was a man. He made sure that we suffered the sins of his past. He turned our home into a slaughterhouse. My father was a man. He carried earthquakes in his hands, a faint of death drew lines on his wrist, a flavor of mortality formed around his knuckles. With fists, he threw fits of rage. His possessed hands played God and turned my mother into a memory, her flesh into a grave. My father was a man. My father was a scared and broken little boy whose father was a man. Today, I am just a boy with a body bloated with fear. But perhaps I shall inherit my father's hand someday. With fists, I will throw fits of rage, pass down my trauma, and become a man, like my father. When she escaped her mother's womb, she inhaled the earthly oxygen and exhaled her magic into the world. Each breath of hers carried with it divinity. Her presence made the heavens weep, the angels dance, and the ground to worship her. A woman is a nectar of life, embodying boundless wisdom that crosses into infinity. Her scars are her stars. She rises and shines bright, even when battered and bruised, burdened with the weight of womanhood by our unjust society. Her dreams and aspirations are often buried under the cruel soils of her trachea. But when you bury a seed, expected to grow into a tree of shade, nourishment, and greatness, an extension of God's love, she is light piercing through the darkness of misogyny. A woman, the voice of other voices, her tongue is like a sword that slices through the downgrading lies told about women, making words bleed. She rewrites history, reshapes society, and forces the world to take heed. When you see a woman, know that she does not stand alone. But God braided durable strength into her skin. She gives her life and power to her next of kin. She carries the strength of the woman before her and the woman after her inside her. A woman with power no man can seize. The troubles and traumas society bestows unto her, a stone she uses to step into her greatness. She stands against all waves of sexism, gender-based violence, and patriarchy, and braves the belly of the beast with blazing fire in her belly. A woman is a gold mine of intelligence, a heavenly breed, the closest thing to God. Her body is like sheets of rain that can go drown and nourish you. So this is my last poem. And this is one of those poems that lingered in my mind for the longest time, but I did not have the courage to write it. One thing about storytelling is that you need courage to write sometimes. And with this one, I had to summon up the courage to tell the truth and unlearn some untruths that were taught to me at a young age. Do not ask girls if they are still virgins. For us girls, our first time is never really our first time. Men usually decide when it is our time before we even discover our bodies. They maze around our foaming thighs in search of our unripe fruits and steal from our gardens with drooling tongues and hungry teeth before our bosoms bloom and our breasts burst. They turn our unknowing bodies into unexplored landscapes of pleasure, casting us into roles we don't belong in, treating our bodies as decorations to charm their sinister manhood. Do not ask girls if they are still virgins. If anyone has ever broken their virginity before, a man's dick has no power to break a woman's body. Just know that men often break into our bodies. Sometimes it's the boy we like, the guy from the spaghetti shop, the old retired next door neighbor, the math teacher, the boat driver, the beloved uncle, or even our fathers. Do not ask girls if they are still virgins. If anyone has ever broken their virginity before, a man's dick has no power to break a woman's body. Just know that men often break into our bodies. Men and society tell us that a woman who knows her way around her body is insolent and unmarriable. But for us girls, our first time is when we choose to defy those oppressive myths and rules about sex and pleasure. When we say our first time, we are usually referring to when we finally discover our bodies and reclaim ownership over them, accepting that our bodies belong to us and not any man or an oppressive and entitled society. For us girls, our first time is when we untangle the complexities of sexuality, plant the stigmas of sex that were once planted inside our minds, and shatter the lies told to us about what makes a decent woman. For us girls, our first time is when we break free from the shackles of the myths of the female virginity, which oppress us women and hinder us from exploring our bodies, dictating that we ought to wait for incapable men to discover our bodies for us. For us girls, our first time is when we willingly share our bodies with others, inviting them inside us with consent and no coercion, making their pleasure our duty, our pleasure their responsibility, knowing that sex does not make a woman less of a woman is because of sex. Sex and pleasure are part of the female experience. For us girls, our first time is when we liberate ourselves, have sex because we want to and because our bodies ask us to, not because men have coerced or guilt-tripped us into it. Do not ask girls if they're still virgins, if anyone has ever broken their virginity before. Because as a girl, how can you tell someone that you are having sex for the first time but have had a man maze around your unknowing body before? So do not ask girls if they're still virgins.
Thank you so much. Oh, poetry, huh? The heaven in the morning, you're meeting us. Thank you so much for that. That was beautiful. Martin Menziwa is currently pursuing his honors in governance and something else that's important. Martin has been in the poetry program for the last 3 years, and it is my honor to be introducing to you, ladies and gentlemen, Martin Menziwa. Before we take that, Martin, I would love to say to those on Facebook tuning in, we are going to be logging out. Thank you very much for checking us, but please keep stay online and see everything else that is happening. Sorry, we've got